Hello there. My name's Mark, aka the Canadian Jedi, and this is episode 84 of the Holocron Chronicles podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my trusty co-pilot through this galaxy, Mr. Charlie Carden. Wearing the swag. I just noticed the t-shirt on you when you open your arms like that.
I do. I have not that I want to promote another business, but I promote a business through our business. Sticker Mule, or as we dubbed it in Canada, Sticker Moose, will do these sporadic $14 single color t-shirts. I always do the pocket tee with one of our logos. And nice. It's $14. And I'm not a t-shirt guy. I don't know, you get to a certain age and maybe it's just not a thing anymore. But I always like to highlight our stuff. So I have one for all of our shows. I wore one you'll see on SFU when you watch it on Tuesday. You watch that video that I have our 4 show logo one. I just got one of those for the first time. So yeah, $14 is with free shipping is fine. So and get on their list. It comes around every probably 2 months. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. So yeah, get your because it's frankly it's sometimes getting shirts made is a crapshoot, except for the people we use, which would be TeePublic and Redbubble, and you can find it in the show notes.
And if you want a non-Secret Friends Unite t-shirt that's Star Wars themed, we have a perfect guest who's going to tell you all about a great shop, and that is Tiara. Tiara, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
That was the best transition I could make up at the time while Charlie goes off about t-shirts.
Inspiration. Yeah.
It's great to have you here. I want to talk all about your Star Wars introduction and your shop and everything else in just a second. But first, I'd like Charlie
to pay the bills.
Thank a few people that
pay the bills.
We take at the start of every episode.
Absolutely. We start every one of our program with giving love and respect to the awesome people on our Secret Friends Unite Patreon. If you visit patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, you have the opportunity to do a free 7-day trial, get ad-free podcasts, and access to a lot of other fun stuff. We've got a lot of fun shows on there. Mark, I can't wait for you and I to finally collaborate on a Patreon. I know you're a busy guy, but we toss some ideas out there from time to time. But in the meantime, Todd, who is our third partner in the endeavor, he and I do a great show about comic books. I have a very fun show called The Facts Geek Life, where myself and a guest take a classic television series. We take a season of that series and we grab a couple, 3 episodes and we break them down and have a good time. But at any rate, we always love to give homage and a shout out to these fine folks. On our Friends with Benefits level, there's John Sidorf, the awesome Phoenix Sisters cosplay, close friends of mine. Brendan Myers, friend of the show, Matthew Keel, and another friend of the show, Corey and HD. BFF levels, that's the top tier. Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias, the awesome Nias family of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And your friend and my friend, Missy Merchant, who I'll get to see this weekend at an event for our Star Trek Club. So I'm looking forward to that. So again, awesome. Go to patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Free 7-day trial. And if you like it, as I always like to echo, as Arnie said in Predator, stick around. Also, definitely pop on over. I hope you're doing it already. Watch us on YouTube. You get to see all the color and the excitement of everything going on back here in my studio. And then Mark's beautiful mug. And then always our fantastic guest, whoever is with us. And you also have a very great background there, my friend. I like it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I got those like posters from LA Comic Con and I just put them up. I got it a year ago and I just put them up like 2 weeks ago.
Inspiration because you wanted to create a creative space, which is I've had this for about a year. I used to record in the dining room in our house. My wife and I are very fortunate because we don't have kids running around. So I'm able to have this, which was a playroom for my kids when they were little. And I just completely converted it to my own space with all of my stuff.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate to make that happen. So
it looks awesome. I love the Return of the Jedi poster behind you.
Thank you. Really cool. Well, I do have the OT going across, and then it kind of bleeds into some other stuff. I'm a huge figure collector. Those are all on the other side of where I am right now. So I have this little desk and I turn it around. as I record. So it always kind of looks like you get a little different visage. But anyway, that's enough about me.
I'm in my kitchen. I usually have my Mando helmet, but that's over there right now. I forgot to set it back up. I sent Charlie a picture. He knows what I was doing.
It's in production. He's got some stuff going on.
I've got some layouts going on for some stuff coming up. That anyone that's following me on Instagram knows that I'm building my own Mando suit, and I've got like
I'm next
stuff everywhere.
Next. Mark, we never met in person, but potentially we're close to the same size. So just print that shit again and mail it to the USA.
The sizing's a pain in the butt.
I can't even imagine.
I'm not going to go off too much on that because I want to learn more about Tiara, aka Crafting on Ilum.
Ooh, where you get the little crystals. Ooh.
That's it. I love the Ilum arc on Clone Wars. I love seeing the kids get their kyber crystals and go through the trials and build their lightsabers. Some of my favorite Clone Wars episodes. So how'd you come up with the name?
It's a great question. So I discovered Fallen Order. I didn't know that it was out, and I started playing the game. And when Cal goes to Ilum, he crafts his lightsaber, and that was around the time that I was getting back into Star Wars like more passionately. And I wanted to like put merch out there, see if anyone liked it, and then I was like, well, I draw them. I hand draw most of the designs, so what better name than Crafting on Ilum, which is where they go to make their lightsabers. So yeah.
And of course Ilum does kind of meet its end of the sequel trilogy and becoming Star Killer base. But we don't need to talk about that.
Sore spot.
Sore spot. Yeah, it's a little tender. It's no good.
Well, we're gonna learn more about your shop in a bit, but first off, you mentioned how you got back into Star Wars.
Yeah, tell us.
How did you get into Star Wars in the first place, and then what brought you back? Was it just Fallen Order, or like I guess start with the origin?
Yeah,
and then
definitely a domino effect of to reach that point. But I've always been a Star Wars fan because of my dad. He actually took me out of school to go watch Episode 3 in the movie theaters.
Oh,
I was like,
it was that way with me with Episode 6, which was the third episode of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
When I was 7, I was in third grade. My mom pulled my brother and I out of school to go see that on a weekday. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so it definitely started there. It's always been around. My dad's always had like Darth Vader figures in the background. The original trilogy's like always been on the TV. Yay! So I dressed up as a Jawa when I was 9. Like it's just it's
awesome.
been there.
It's just characters.
Yeah, I know. I just really like their characters, and my dad actually he helped me build like that costume together. So definitely planted the seed for my cosplaying making. But yeah, so I've always been a Star Wars fan, and then as I got older, it's not cool. No one really talks about it. You don't want to get bullied, whatever. And
not cool.
Then in college, or a little bit after college actually, I found Rebels like around when COVID hit, and I didn't know that was a thing. I also knew that Clone Wars was a thing because I used to watch a couple episodes here and there like on Cartoon Network, but I didn't realize that it was like a whole show because I saw the movie and I thought these were just like shorts. So I watched Clone Wars, binged that, and then binged Rebels, and then after that, COVID kind of not dissipated, but kind of went away. And I found Fallen Order. And then after Fallen Order, I was like, you know what? I am back in that mood. I want to get with the community. I want to make a page. I want to make some friends that are just as nerdy as me. So here we are.
Yay.
Awesome.
And now you're giving it to the world. That's fantastic. I love it.
That's amazing. That's great. I love that. Like, and refining it. Cause I had that same kind of like, growing up in like a small place, you just kind of like hide your geekiness. And like, I always liked Star Wars. I'd watch the movies and whatever, but it would just be kind of like in my room, I'm going to watch Star Wars or Jurassic Park or whatever. And like, like you don't have those that same kind of community. And now it's so, I'll say it easy, but like, cause it is, you just like go on TikTok or Instagram or wherever, and you're just like Star Wars and it's just bam, 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 bam. Do you like lightsabers? Do you want X-Wing pilots? Do you want Sith? Do you want that? Like, there's just so many people everywhere. And even like recently, like building some Mando armor and getting into that stuff, it's like I keep finding other people that are building armor or have built armor. And it's just like, this is a whole avenue of Star Wars that I've never seen before. And there's so many so many
Yeah.
amazing people out there. So it's so fun to find that community and let
There's
your
like subgroups
fly.
within subgroups within
No,
subgroups of the Star Wars community.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and costuming certainly. And Mark and I were talking about this when you're dealing with the 501st or the Rebel Legion or the Mando Mercs. There are forums that get down into forums. I've dabbled, but I haven't jumped right in. I have several Star Wars cosplays. A group of friends and I just did an amazing shoot at a historic site just this past weekend here in Michigan. That I cannot wait. A lot of those pictures are on my Instagram as well, as is the photographer and the photographer's wife, who's a cosplayer in her own right. A lot of those pictures are starting to make the rounds, but I love it. It really throws me back into it. My wife and I do it together. We also do a lot of Star Trek cosplay, obviously, because we run a huge fan club chapter, but blah, blah, blah. But yeah, the finite, like, this belt buckle here and the boot has to have a certain this and that. And oh yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm throwing that out the window with my Mando stuff, but we'll get to that in a later time. What you rhymed off a whole bunch of stuff. So what is it for Star Wars that like is peak Star Wars for you? Is it a movie, show, game, book? Like what is like definitive Star Wars for you?
That's such a hard question.
I know. I can't even answer it myself, so I love talking.
I would say the prequels. I like the original trilogy, but I just felt like I grew up more on the prequels, especially because I had a cousin who was also a really big nerd, and he had this like probe droid, or like the droid that he shoots out when he's on Tatooine to go seek Qui-Gon and all that.
Oh yeah,
I was called those probe droids too.
Yeah, it's
the secret droid.
Probe droid, yeah, secret probe, yeah.
So he had one of these things, and it would like shoot like these foam discs at you, and I just remember like having like a plastic lightsaber and like trying to like block them. Awesome. So yeah, prequels would probably be peak for me, just because it's so ingrained in my like core memories as a child.
Have you gotten your tickets to go see the 25th anniversary episode 1? Yeah, same here that weekend. Yep.
It's gonna be wild.
Even though, as an old guy who grew up with the original trilogy, I remember what it was like to have Star Wars back on the big screen, to have new content. And I just, even though it's not my favorite movie, A, it's not the worst, in my opinion, because there are worse Star Wars films. But B, I don't care. We haven't seen a Star Wars movie on the big screen in 5 years. That's a long time. So yeah, I'm fired up for it. I'm fired up to sit through Jar Jar. It's okay by me. I can handle it.
I went to go see Return of the Jedi. I did like bound kind of Luke Skywalker. Last year it came out on the big screen for the 40th or whatnot.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, that was also really cool, because I haven't seen prequels or the first and second episode of the prequels on the big screen, and so that Duel of Fate scene, I'm very excited about that.
I never understand why those films don't come out more often. I mean, now with the original trilogy, we have to wait for the 50th anniversary of episode 4, which is, we're in 2024. That'll be 2027. It's not that far away. We'll get it. Yeah. We'll get it. I'm looking forward to it. That'll be fantastic. But anyway,
do you have a favorite character in all of that? Like someone that, again, just screams like Star Wars for you?
I hate going on these podcasts and y'all ask me this question. It's so hard.
You can list a few favorite characters. It's okay.
Gosh, I mean, every show, every movie, I have my own favorite character in each one of them. And even in like novels and things like that. But Qui-Gon will always hold a special place in my heart. Just because I was talking to Jessica on her podcast, and I was just kind of explaining how I feel like he is so opposite to me, and how I want to be more like Qui-Gon. So he is my favorite character because of that.
Nice. He's very opposite of like the whole council, really. And now reading and learning more about the High Republic stuff, it's very clear that Qui-Gon was more of a High Republic Jedi. He had more of the mindset of someone like a Wayseeker, or someone that would go off and do the things that they could do in the High Republic, and they weren't as strict as they were for that prequel era. So the more we find out about High Republic and stuff, and I always loved Qui-Gon to begin with, but the more we find out about that, of just like, I'm training the boy, or we can all train the boy. What do you guys want? Your choice. I'll leave either way. I've already stolen him from his mother and his planet, so this is happening. I just love that kind of, like, I know we're like a strict military peacekeeping organization or whatever, but like, I'll still do what I want. It's such a great mentality.
Yeah, he's very like in tune with himself and his thoughts and his feelings, and he doesn't let the Jedi Council or anyone else kind of influence him, and he's very in tune with the Force, and it's very organic for him, and it's not very, like you said, like political. It's not so rigid for him, which it's not supposed to be.
Right. He was almost too good for his times. He was behind his times, yet ahead of his times, because the times that he was in was about to come to a very violent end that he didn't get to be a part of but he was still around, and he was unfortunately able to see the aftermath. He and Obi-Wan hanging out on Tatooine, unfortunately.
Yeah. I really wonder if we'll see more of his character through, whether it's anthology stuff or, a little bit more if we get an Obi-Wan season 2 or something. It'd be really cool to just keep fleshing out that character, because he's a great one.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess I know the answer to this one, but people have surprised me in the past. Do you lean more light side or dark side?
I lean more dark side. Like,
what?
That's not what we were talking about, though.
Color me shocked. What the heck?
Just like personality wise, I love Qui-Gon, but personality wise, I definitely lean more dark side. I am very intrigued with the Sith, and I'm always wanting to learn more about them. I think they're very mysterious, and they have a pretty good like lore behind them. So I definitely lean more dark side, but my favorite characters are mostly light side. So it's very
the whole like
it's like
a favorite characters.
It's like you take the colors and mush them together, and you're more gray or mauve, as it were, than potentially other characters, which is awesome. That's awesome. I love it.
You just did the most Sithy thing ever, like the most Sithy thing ever, of just like pulling the wool completely over my eyes. Like my guard's down. I'm like, yeah, cool. Everything's awesome. You're definitely a Jedi. What do you mean? Then you're just like, here's some lightning. Great stuff.
Lightning fingers. Okay. Hot dog fingers.
So do you prefer red lightsabers with that? Or do you have another favorite lightsaber color, just to continue with the trickery?
Yeah, I really liked seeing Balin. His lightsaber's like this orangey. It's like a red orangey, but it also has a little bit of like yellow in it, So I really like that kind of hue of the in-betweeners. But I also really love High Republic, like a High Republic yellow with like the brown cloak.
That's me.
It's very awesome.
That's the biggest thing I was kind of disappointed with on our shoot, is that because it was a daylight shoot with bright sunshine, we had to shoot the sabers with unactivated, which is fine because I changed the batteries in my wife's that morning, and it didn't work that afternoon. So I think we got some kind of issue. But the good news is Jay, who is our photographer at Force Edge Photography, if you live in Michigan, definitely look him up, is simply going to add it in post. So everybody had to write down on their release form your lightsaber color, because all but one of the people that we had there were 9 of us were cosplaying Jedi, and then later on myself and a couple other people switched to Rebel characters, which was the other half of our shoot. But yeah, I was really bummed out. But my saber that I got from Galaxy's Edge back at the end of February is a yellow protector saber, because that's my vibe, and my wife's was a green. What was a green earth? The elemental is
nature.
it right, Mark? Yeah, elemental nature, exactly. And I am just dying that I cannot get back to Galaxy's Edge before May the 5th, and the Seasons of the Force going on. I just heard from a friend of mine who was down there over the weekend. She saw one of the Ahsoka clips at Star Tours. I'm super bummed out, but oh well. Can't do everything, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I love Balin's another character that I kind of forget sometimes, not that he exists, but like forget how intriguing that side of the dark side is, and that change of like from like the deep red to a more orange, red, yellow, shifting, crackling saber.
Yeah.
which has very interesting lore implications as well. I love that answer. I think we're going to see more of that answer as like people who like the dark side, but maybe aren't leaning fully into it. Because before, like, the answer for that kind of person tended to be purple. You know, you tended to be more of like a Mace Windu, like I flirt with the dark side a bit, but I'm still kind of good. And I think we're going to start to see a little shift in that. You'll still get the Mace Windu purple kind of people, but I think we'll also see some Balin, orange answers. I like that. It's always evolving. Do you have a specific lightsaber design that you love? Like Charlie just mentioned the one that he built, the one his wife built. I built an elemental nature as well, because I love going back to that arc, the Ilum arc. I love Gunji's lightsaber, the wood. It's my favorite design. Do you have one that stands out?
Yeah, mine's actually Gunji's. I love the wood, like a bamboo kind of like wood. Yeah, hilt. Nice. I think it looks so cool. I would love to like combine it with like maybe a Kanan kind of structure, but like add the wood to it. I think it'd look really cool. So yeah,
very nice.
Nice.
Yes.
The
excellent
style, the different style.
I don't think I've ever heard another person ever mention that Gunji was their favorite lightsaber. So instant besties, even if you're a little bit sithy.
A bit sithy. Let's not get sithy now.
Just a little sithy. Do you have? I see a couple of things on your wall, a couple of things even hanging and chilling out behind you. Do you have a favorite Star Wars collectible?
Gosh. I would say my Trilla helmet, just because I got the, like, I think that's Big's helmet right there. I think the checkered pattern is his.
Correct.
So I got that when I went to LA Comic Con, but like just something that was for me, that a friend gifted for me, was the Trilla helmet, and it was just my second helmet of my collection. I think it's so cool because they're so expensive, but it looks so cool. So I'd probably say the Trilla helmet. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. The helmets are so great. And that's something, again, I was talking to Charlie about, is, you know, my Mando helmet, and talking to another friend before the podcast about, like, do I want to print a new helmet so I can do a custom paint job? Do I just want to wear the Mando helmet that I already own? Because the event that I want to wear this whole thing to is like the end of May. So I got to get cracking. It's like, and I know that helmet's functional. I know it works. I know it fits. And it just, but the helmets they're so great to collect, and they look so great. Just even like on a shelf or just whatever occasion you're wearing around.
Absolutely need more. I mean, the only non-Star Wars one I have is Cobra Commander there, but I really, and you see Grogu down here as well, but these particular little squares are not all perfect for them, so I need to do a redesign, because it's been a year, right? I need to go, keep things fresh. So I think a few more helmets might be in line for me as well.
So you don't just collect merch, you make it. So you hinted a little bit about this before, about drawing your own designs and all this kind of stuff. We mentioned your shop. Let's jump right into that. How did you start this shop? Like, what inspired you to not be like, I'm going to hunt down other nerds on the internet and be friends? You're just like, nah, screw it. I'm also going to sell them t-shirts and awesome stickers, which I can't wait to get, by the way. I am so excited to have
sending
ordered
them out tomorrow. So it'll be there soon.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah, I've always been kind of like artsy, very crafty. Maybe not well, but I love to do it. So I had a few sketches in my backlog. I have a Doom sweater, and that was one of my first designs that I put out there. And when I was watching Rebels back in 2019, 2020, I sketched it while I was watching Rebels, and I did a couple of those. I do a couple like water painting. I did Ahsoka, like a outline of Ahsoka's head or face, her tendrils. So I've had a couple of that stuff just in my closet, and I wanted something that was unique that I could wear instead of getting like a Millennium Falcon t-shirt from like Target or something.
I know. I don't do those anymore myself. I'm out of the mass-produced graphic tees. It's a bad business.
So I just wanted something unique. It's okay because you're gonna have one of my t-shirts. It'll be fine.
We're gonna get you there, and even you can, like I said, even if you're just promoting our show,
there you go.
That's all it should be.
Yeah. So yeah, I just really wanted something unique, and I wanted to just connect with others, and maybe people would like it. And I was kind of tired of second guessing myself, so I just put it out there, and some people liked it.
That's awesome.
Sweet. That's how you get it started.
And it's a great mix of like some funny stuff, some like really just good designs and just cool artwork. Like you said, kind of like sketchy hand-drawn feel, other stuff that's a little bit more graphic design. Like it's a great mix. So if anyone hasn't checked it out, go like, I guess, we'll share all these links in the show notes.
I want to dig in and have a look as well, because I enjoy swag, as you can tell. Oh yeah, no, I'm totally down, and supporting small business. That's where I live. That's where we are. So that's what we do. Absolutely.
Any tips for someone that's thinking about starting? If someone's listening and they're like, I would love to get into that. I would love to try my hand at doing that. Any kind of starter tips for someone looking to get into like selling some sort of Star Wars merch? I'm not saying like a competing store or something.
Yeah,
but
I was
like,
going to say, forget it.
Something.
Business is all mine. Take it. Be
No,
vicious.
I love supporting other people's passions. So the only problem is that I don't feel like I'm a great person to go to for instruction, because I'm very ADHD. I don't pay attention a lot to like YouTube videos because I have such a short attention span. And I'm very hands-on. So I much prefer like watching someone doing something and then replicating or like putting my own twist or spin on it. So worst person for advice or guidance. But I mean, I would say, use YouTube, just get started. I use Canva to like edit my sketches to make them like look better. Yeah. I also use I pay for like the images sometimes to like use like a square or a circle here or whatnot. So just I don't know, I would say just research, just watch some YouTube videos and then just do it, because you can't just like keep it all up in your mind. You have to start doing something, start somewhere, start small, and then that just gets you to where you want to be. So yeah,
very cool. Awesome.
I love the keeping stuff in your mind. I love the video that you posted the other day of, it's 10 o'clock. I should be, what was it, like sleeping or something like that? Yeah. And then it was you just drawing like the mall pants. Yeah. And I was like, what am I doing with it? Was just like so good. But like they turned out so well. They're
Thank
awesome.
You.
But it was one of those things of like, this is in my mind. Now I need to get it out. Okay, cool. It's like watching that in action on your page. So I love that like transparency of like, here's how my brain works and here's why I get the stuff that I have.
What is sleep? I don't sleep, because when those thoughts happen, I just get up and I do them.
Famous songwriters, your Paul McCartney, Billy Joel, whatever it is, always says, well, I sleep by, with a pad and a pen by the side of the bed, because I might wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and something that has just existed in the ether in my brain will come together and I got to write it down. So that's how you get true artistic things that have come from the universe, and your subconscious will happen in that fashion. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, back to the last couple of questions for you. First one, and I genuinely don't know where you're going to go with this. Favorite affiliation, if you could hang out with like a group in Star Wars for like a little bit, Jedi, Sith, Bounty Hunters, Rebels, Tech Union, like who are you picking? What's your like?
Did you see that meme I put in our Discord tonight? The Tech Union guy can't speak a line without turning one of the knobs on his little boombox.
I didn't see that. Viewers. How did I just mention Tech Union and I've not seen that meme?
I figured that's where it came from. But the guy with and he's like turning his AM, FM, and gain dial. It's just that it's whatever, dude. Tech my ass.
That is the weirdest coincidence ever. I seriously haven't been on Discord all night. Anyway, sorry. What yours?
Yeah, mine's actually pretty basic this time. It is Jedi. I like that Jedi for George were inspired by samurai. So I really love like Japanese culture. If you haven't watched like Shogun, I'm really loving that show. So I really like the samurai influences. So I would love to hang out with Jedi and learn like the different fighting styles and meditation and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Awesome.
and not one word there of infiltrating them to find their secrets and kill all the top
Exactly.
members.
The acolyte. She's the acolyte.
Perfect. All right, last question. We try to have fun with this one, so don't think of it like seriously or anything like that. But Star Wars, basically constant suffering, tragedy, wrapped in awesome ponchos and laser swords. If you happen to find yourself in the Star Wars universe and you met your hilarious, tragic demise, how would that come about?
Being shot by a stormtrooper.
No.
Because you couldn't believe it when it happened, right? You'd be like, "What?" You know, is it they miss 99 out of 99.99999% of the shots, and then you're the 0.00001. Yeah.
It'd be wild. It'd be wild to me that I died by the hand of a stormtrooper.
Right. Ricochet. Bing, bing, bong.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, stormtrooper that wasn't even trying to hit you, just trying to shoot a warning blast by your feet and ends up like
oh,
dead
man.
on.
Oh,
yeah, that's a good one. Just yeah.
Good stuff.
All right. Yeah, we just watched like the Mandalorian over again here, and that was, I love that little joke kind of thing between, was it Jason Sudeikis and Adam Paladin?
It was
stormtroopers like right before
scout troopers,
the scout troopers, and he's just trying to shoot the can or whatever was on the ground, and it's just like, these things suck so bad.
Yeah, right. Oh,
so for that to hit anything, that's a great answer.
Right. Oh my goodness.
All right, we have a tiny bit of news this week. I just want to get some initial reactions or current thoughts after a couple of days on the Tales of the Empire. We got a surprise trailer and a pretty imminent release of this thing within the next month, I think, from when the trailer
May the 4th, so that's less than a month. Yeah, exactly.
Holy crap. So what were your original thoughts on this, or how are you feeling about it now? Tiara, let's start with you.
Sure. Yeah, I have loved Tales since the moment it came out. Like, since I saw that very first episode, I have thought it's so underrated and not talked about enough. The music and the storytelling, and seeing Qui-Gon again, and seeing Qui-Gon as Count Dooku's apprentice. We don't get a whole lot of Count Dooku in the prequels, so it was amazing to see more of an expansion of his character before he turned.
Right.
So
and how he turned. That was the bit. Yeah.
And I kind of felt like he was kind of like a Balin of his time at that time, because he wasn't doing it like out of hatred. He was doing it because basically he was discouraged, like, from what he was seeing and his abilities to be able to help the galaxy. So I love Tales, and I am so excited to see it from like an Empire point of view. Also embarrassed the fact that we're getting, like, I didn't even know like we would be getting more of her. Like, what happened to her after? Let's just
never see her story again. And then to also see how Master Luminara becomes this bait ghost in Rebels. It was like, when I first saw it, before I'd locked onto the fact that that was Barriss coming back, who is the spectacular Meredith Salinger. She's the wife of Patton Oswalt, who is my favorite stand-up comic, so I always love to see her back in the mix. I thought that was her for a moment, but then when you go through seeing the Inquisitor and you're figuring out, oh my, what if she is does she end up being the Seventh Sister? Is that her? I'm not even sure if that's been established, because the Seventh Sister is the one that wears the helmet, correct?
Yeah, like that cone-like helmet.
And that's she's voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr.'s wife, who is, of course, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sarah Michelle Gellar in Rebels. But does that mean that could be Barriss? I think we're going to find out if just how committed she is to giving the two middle fingers to the Jedi Council. She's like, well, now I'm just going to find a way to be a part of killing whoever we track down. So absolutely intriguing. And Morgan Elsbeth, and I've seen some side-by-side shots of Corvus, which is the world she lives on, seeing him top to bottom. So we're bringing everything back into the fold from Ahsoka. I don't think we'll see Ahsoka herself, but I think everything that we see a younger Thrawn in this. Just, oh my gosh, just powerhouse of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing we talked about this obviously on SFU as well, which you will have listened to yesterday if you follow our network. But 6 episodes of, I'm assuming, 12 to 50-minute sequences that will all drop that weekend of May the 4th. So it's very, very, very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Mark.
I am so excited for this. I am very surprised that it's not Tales of the Jedi 2.
Right.
The fact that they went with Tales of the Empire is super intriguing to me. So I love that they seem to be making Tales a series. I really like, I would love to see more like Tales of the Jedi. Don't get me wrong. Like I want to see more Gunji. I want to see how that young crew of Jedis, like which ones survived, which ones escaped, how did they escape, how did, like, all of that stuff. Give me more Qui-Gon, more young young Obi-Wan as an apprentice. Like let me see all of that. But
yeah,
now that Tales has gone Tales of the Empire, I want to see Tales of the Sith. I want to see Tales of the Mandalorians, Tales of the Bounty Hunters, Tales of the Tech Union, whatever. I don't even care. Like Tales of the Rebellion. Like just, there's so much that they could give us here as like the Tales anthology series.
Yeah.
It is absolutely was. Tales of the Night Sisters. Like there's so much here that we could do.
Right.
Yeah.
I want it all. Like Tales of the Cantina Band. I don't even care. Like just like give me the next 20 years of like Tales of the Star Wars stuff. And just that's what I want.
There's so many
100%.
untold stories to tell. Like there are so many avenues, and we've seen it with live action shows that we've gotten recently. There's so much to explore in this galaxy.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I know in Tales, like they kind of retreaded a bit of like the Ahsoka book. So there's even that kind of stuff. Like we could see like a little bit of like the Asajj's book and like talk about, and we're gonna get
the Dark Disciple
kind of stuff.
It's so funny you should say that because that's where we're going.
So let's just jump right into the Bad Batch. I guess that's a good segue.
Please. Good deal. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, I will if I might.
Yeah.
If I might, I'm typically the teller of such tales. But this episode we're talking about 3 different segments because we got a 1-2 punch in the past week, and the prior week to that we did get a standalone episode which was fairly significant to what we were discussing. But we're covering episodes 9 through 11. Episode 9 is The Harbinger. Stuart Lee did the directing with a script from Jennifer Corbett from March 27 of 2004. Shan's contact is Asajj Ventress. What? Didn't see that coming. Just kidding. We absolutely did. She shows up on Pabu, and I love this. I was watching some other catch-up videos, Star Wars Explained or New Rock Stars or Screen Crush, and they were saying, how come they got that one cave, but nobody has like a camera in that cave to be like, oh, this is the secret spot someone's going to park. She shows up, and Batcher and Omega stumble upon her, and then the guys show up, and she tells the Batch that tells them about what an M-Count is. Obviously, we know that is someone's potential connection to the Force because of something in their blood, and she starts doing these kind of random tests on Omega, and I kind of feel in some ways that she was making some of the shit up, but yeah, you just don't really know. But you still didn't really know that she was on the level. Because at a certain point it just evolves. They figure out that the records they find that, well, she was a separatist war criminal, and they don't dig on her. And of course she's got a lot of attitude that doesn't really help. So the Batch are concerned when they realize obviously that she's an assassin from the Clone Wars, but Omega trusts her because, Omega. During the final of these tests that Ventress has given her there at sea, Ventress inadvertently summons a sea monster, could have seen that coming, which attacks them. She pacifies the creature, rescues Omega, and then in doing that, gains the Bad Batch's trust, even though they had a big punch up, as I said, in between. And I love watching this morning because it's like a 2-minute segment of just ass whooping, and she's just kicking these clones all over the damn place. Ventress tells Omega that her M count is low, but later indicates to the others that she was lying about this because the Sith lie. She may not be Sith per se, but she's got proclivities. She's Sith adjacent. She also warns them that they may not be safe on Pabu. Gee, I wonder where that's going to go. So that's the summary of number 9. So shall we discuss 9 and then we'll move on to the two-parter, Mark? Is that
I think so. Yeah, that's okay. I think that makes the most sense. So let's talk 9. Tiara, what were your thoughts on this episode? Were you like a big Asajj fan? How are you feeling with her coming back?
I didn't know I needed more Asajj content until I saw her back.
Right.
In
She's
animation.
Great.
Yeah. I haven't read all of Dark Disciple. I've only read like maybe snippets that I've seen online.
Gotta get around. I'm so behind on all book related stuff.
There's just so much, so much to digest. So I loved seeing her. I also loved, while it might be complete bullshit, there might be some truth to how she was testing her, and I feel like maybe Quinlan had a bit of influence in that. Maybe it was more that organic testing instead of just getting, whatever and testing her blood and being like, all right, she's Jedi, she's not Jedi. Like, it doesn't always have to be that, like, cut and dry. So I liked seeing her test Omega, and I loved seeing her compassion. So at that point I was like, yes, I need more of her story. I need to be able to see more.
Go ahead, please.
I was gonna say they did kind of hint at, she said something about like, I still have a few lives left or something like that. So are you okay at this point not having an explanation? Because spoiler alerts for like the next 30 seconds for anyone that hasn't read Dark Disciple and doesn't know what's happening. She died. Straight up, she died. Quinlan and Obi-Wan buried her back on Dathomir in the Living Waters, which do have some magical properties. So the prevailing theories like that brought her back, or the Night Sister magic did. But we've seen like zombies, not like a full like, hey, you're back.
Right, because she seemed as she always was. But it didn't have to do with these living waters that you described. And again, I've not read the book, and now I really feel that I have pressure to at least do audiobooks. I'm better with that because I suck at reading things. Although I did reach out recently with the help of an author associate of mine who writes both Star Wars and Star Trek. I did reach out to Penguin to see if I could get on their reader list, and then Mark, you and I can read some books together and actually have that going for us. But I'm wondering if there was some difference, because the Night Sisters that we saw on, I'm forgetting the name of the planet in the other galaxy where we ended up in at the end of Ahsoka. That was not their home world, I'm assuming, because their home world is Dathomir. Thus, they're the Night Sisters of Dathomir, which is where all their stuff was. It's like Mandalore with the holy waters and the Great Forge versus wherever the hell they like. We're gonna set up them being squatters and setting up somewhere, and we'll bring our stuff in. So it's definitely has the potential to be different in that way, but Lucasfilm did go on record as saying, well, it is her and she came back to life, and that's going to be covered in future content, which is talk about plot armor. It can be whatever the hell you want it to be. So that's okay. No, that's good. But no, it was a good use of it. And I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, I was down. It was good to see her again. And I think they delivered. They brought her back in one of those, offering some intrigue, but that there's more, and it's pushing the plot forward. So I definitely feel that they did well.
Yeah, Tiara, there's a hint obviously there at, like Charlie said, like they talked about, you'll find it out in future stories. Do you think that's pointing towards some new animated stuff outside of maybe like the Tales series? Is like a Bad Batch spinoff? You said you didn't know you needed more Asajj. Do you want more Asajj at this point? Like, do you want something to focus on her?
I mean, if she's in it as like a supporting character and we get a little bit more of like side story about her, or whether she is the main character, I think exploring these characters that we see briefly in the Clone Wars series is always really fun. Like, we didn't know that we were getting Bad Batch, and then we got it, and then it's like, hey, this has like a really good storyline. I really like seeing the different parts after Order 66, especially with the clones, and seeing more Rex, and then seeing how Wolf and Rex and Gregor get together. Like, I loved seeing how all that ties together. So yeah, I'd love to see if it's more animation or live action, whichever it is. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Keep working on the patchwork. Keep putting it together.
I'm really wondering if this, like, if the Bad Batch is leading up to, I mean, I know we have Star Wars Rebels, but like a rebellion show. Different sects, like Asajj could lead back to Quinlan and tie into Obi-Wan with the stuff going on in the path.
Yeah, with the tunnel. Yeah.
Because we've seen that name drop. We know he was active. We know they were a thing. So like, if she's back, chances are they might gravitate towards each other. So we could use her as a vantage point into the path, and then we could use Rex and everyone else as a vantage point into like the rebellion starting to form, and the use of the clones, or the enlistment of the clones as part of the rebel army, and who's left and who's going to do what. I really wonder if that's where they're leading with this, because we're seeing force sensitive kids under testing. We know Omega's heading there. You can think that there's going to be a big jailbreak, and they need to get these kids safe somehow. Where are they going to go? The path.
And we all know that it seems to it derails what we finally end up seeing in The Mandalorian, which is, Moff Gideon. That's his big deal, but that's still, more than 30 years down the road. By breaking up, the planet, the secret facility in Hemlock, dying in a blaze or whatever, then that gets shelved, or it has to be rebuilt at a certain point. That doesn't come around until obviously 5 years post Return of the Jedi, when we have the Mandalorian. So speaking of Hemlock, bad Hemlock, and where things are going, we're going to talk about episodes 10 and 11. Which I will read as kind of a glob, as it were, because it was a two-parter, if you would. So we'll get rolling. So episode 10 is Identity Crisis. Sal Ruiz does the directing. Amanda Rose Munez does the writing, from April of 2024. We're back on Hemlock. He's in prison now, Lassie, as we know, believing she helped Omega and Crosshair escape, and reluctantly promotes Emery, who we know is a Jango clone, an older female Jango clone, who we've not seen in a little bit, to be the new lead scientist on Project Necromancer. Emery and Necromancer, as I just rewatched Mando season 3, and the Shadow Council was talking about Project Necromancer. So, like I said, it obviously gets delayed, and the work slows down. Emery slowly becomes disillusioned with the Empire. She learns the subjects are being tested on our children, including basically an infant toddler that we learn about, that's particularly heartbreaking. Emery becomes delusioned about the children test subjects with the high M counts, and witnesses the cold brutality on how they are being treated, obviously within reasons, because this is a cartoon show, nothing too outrageous happens. She also sees Bane delivering a new child subject who is even younger than the others. Cad Bane, by the way, making a return. Tarkin threatens to take away Hemlock's funding, and I love this scene as Tarkin is very off balance, and he's like, well, I don't know about that, but you better not screw up, because you're going to get in trouble. We're talking about a dick swinging contest. It was pathetic. It was more and more proof that Tarkin just sucks, right? I mean, he's a shitty dude. If the results are not produced. CX2, that's our mystery clone assassin guy, reports to Hemlock that he's close to finding Omega after learning of her connection to Phee by torturing Sid, which fortunately we see off screen, so we kind of know where things are going. These episodes are different enough. We probably should jump in and just give thoughts in between, because it's not a direct two-parter. But for me, while it was some good storytelling, I think it was kind of very predictably telegraphed, this episode. Maybe it was probably weaker of the three that we watched, because you just knew the Empire always kind of does what it does. They're bad, and if you're going along with it and maybe you believe in it to a certain regard, eventually, if you have two brain cells, you're going to figure out that there's some pretty sus stuff going on here. So that was kind of predictable, but it still had some cute moments because you had the baby Force Sensitive that I think that was spun off of one of the games or something, wasn't it, Mark? It was one of the, it was like a character from Fallen Order or something, or a race that we saw with the little, I don't know, it was in some video I watched. For some reason I thought of you when I saw it. But anyway, yeah, so that's a driving piece. You meet some of these other kids who are very innocent. They don't know what's going on, and they trust Emery, and she tells them things that she believes that it's like, well, you don't think so-and-so is going to get in trouble, and then the kid gets busted because he tries to escape, and then she is confronted, like, you said he was going to be fine. You lied to me, and then she's shunned, and she's like, well, I don't have it, even though I'm quote unquote in charge because I'm the top scientist. I don't really have control over anything because it's the Empire, and that's the way the Empire works. Most bureaucracies work. So whoever's the top dog is calling the shots. But I love the appearance by Tarkin, just reminding me what a fucking shithead that guy is. I just love seeing him being like, oh, well, he's, because Hemlock's like, well, I'm working on a top secret project. And Tarkin's like, well, I didn't know anything about this, but he better not fuck it up because then it's going to be your ass. I'm just saying.
I kind of love that as a framing technique, though, so many people hated the somehow Palpatine return line, from the Rise of Skywalker. It's so memeified at this point, but as Star Wars has done in the past, they're going back now and explaining things. And if someone as high up as Tarkin has no idea what Project Necromancer is,
it's some serious
how is anyone
shit.
supposed to know that somehow Palpatine returned? Because we don't have a GD clue, because the highest up people in the Empire also didn't have a clue. Right. So like that one little exchange between Hemlock and Tarkin really frame that line in such a better way that explains Poe Dameron being like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, your average rank and file would have no idea because
nobody does.
Even the big muckety mucks don't. So
I love that framing technique of just like seemingly a throwaway exchange, but then when you think about it, like a few years down the road, we're going to get this tying in with Mando, tying in with maybe something with the Path or whatever, and it's really going to. You watch it all and it's really going to paint that picture of like, yes, somehow Palpatine returned. Nobody freaking knew what this guy was doing because he was playing chess while everyone else was playing Chutes and Ladders. Like, he's just on another level, right? Like and they're going back now and they're making that all worthwhile. So that line kind of makes a whole lot more sense and is more justified. Tiara, what were your thoughts on this episode?
I liked it because it reminded me of Andor. I know a lot of people aren't like happy with how dark it got, but I think it's important because if we're showing the Empire side of things, it's gonna be dark. Like you can't get away from that. So I think it's important. And I also liked seeing how you were saying like the frame. It was a storytelling episode. I don't think that it was a filler. I think that it was crucial to the story of Bad Batch. And while sequels are still a sore spot and I feel like things are just being patched up now, I also still can appreciate, like you were saying, like that particular line and like how things were hidden and just like the inner workings of the Empire and how even, like you said, the higher people didn't have a single clue of what was going on, which is crazy.
Wow. Anybody else go back and just watch Book of Boba Fett for pleasure and watch Cad Bane get stabbed in the chest over and over again? And just kind of like, again.
I'll be honest with you. I've had all the Disney Plus series on kind of a loop over the last couple of months because I'm in between jobs. So I'm looking for new work and I'm working on other stuff related to SFI and this. And so I'm there on my couch and that's all that's on. So Boba Fett was last week or something. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Good timing. Great timing. I hate him so much.
What?
You say it with a smile on your face. I hate him.
He's like
I love the fact that he's dead now.
He's like Yondu from Guardians in so much that he was a kidnapper, but he's a dick and he's like, I like money.
there's a, I just,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. He's a bad dude. You know, he doesn't do anything
It really
right.
brings out a stabby part of me.
I do. Yes, stabby. Yeah. All right. Well, let's take it home. Let's talk about the episode that we all knew was coming. I don't know why you had that there, but okay.
It's fine.
We will, as they found of saying in Archer, we will gloss it over and we will move on. Episode 11 is Point of No Return. Natalie Villanueva handling the directing chores with Amanda Rose Munez back again from April 3rd of 2024. Fee, who has been asked by the batch to make inquiries about the Empire's M-Count project. This opening scene was so annoying to me because I say this in Star Wars. I turned to April and say all the time, I said, why doesn't anybody close their fucking door when they get out of their ship? That would solve so many problems. I mean, and again, it would be a problem because Boba Fett wouldn't have gotten his armor back from the crest before it got blown up in season 2 of Mando. But why does anybody just like, all right, I'll be back, do. It's like, who's not gonna wander into your ship and start stealing shit? Because that's so dumb, because then CX gets in there and steals her nav data, and that's how, boom, he's gonna end up on Pabu. But so that's how it gets found out, and that's where CX is gonna go. So Omega and am I reading? Oh, you know what? You copy and pasted information from a different episode. I think you might have missed this because this isn't the right summary.
All right.
But anyway, all right. I'm going to fly from memory. We don't need it.
Let's go.
So anyway, CX shows up on Pabu, and it's nothing but shootout time. He blows up our guys' ship, which was like, that's like going through watching the Razor Crest get blown up all over again. That sucked. So that was a super bummer. But then it's shootout-ville. Our guys are trying to protect the townsfolk. Wrecker gets, knocked out, but obviously not critically, but he's kind of out for the count. And then they realized, just like in any firefight, they said, oh no, there's too many of them. They realize that they can't win. So it's going to turn into a sacrifice play, kind of like at the end of, Captain America Civil War, that, half of the crew has to give it up so that the mission can move forward. Basically, at the end of it, it's just down to Crosshair and Omega, who have just formed this just absolutely great relationship that in a lot of ways you never saw it coming, because you didn't ever really know that he was going to be back in the fold. But the two of them, because they're stuck together, she said, I've got to give myself up, stick me with a tracker. And he's like, well, that's not going to work because they're going to steal your tracker. Well, she said, all right, well, that's true. But as they grab me, you'll just have to shoot a spider tracer like Spider-Man always does on the edge of my ship and it'll be fine. And so she gives herself up. And, they take her little, wand tracker away, and she's flying away, and Crosshair shoots his tracker and he misses. Oh, he's still at the 53% of his crappy sharpshooting. Damn it. But the thing that was really beautiful is that you see her sitting there and you get 15 to 20 seconds on her. She's flying away and she looks very serene. So she swallowed something, or there's something stuck in her ear or up her butt. I hate to say it, but it's entirely possible. But she's got it. So whatever it is, and this is episode 11 of 15 that we're getting. So we got another 4 episodes left before the end of the series. That we're setting it up to the final countdown, and they're gonna be able to find her. But in typical Star Wars fashions, it might still take 2 more episodes where like, we got a lead. And there was just a clip drop today where you're getting revisited from the season trailer of them traveling one of those clone tanks, and they're being followed by a couple of the LAT the drop ship shooting at them, and then clones drop down on them. So they're going to have to probably go to some other planet to find another clue, or blah, blah, blah. But heartbreaking. Nobody died. Nobody died except for the ship. I can't remember the name of their ship. Wasn't it the Marauder?
The Marauder.
Marauder, yeah. So that was R.I.P. Marauder. It's right up there in cool ship heaven with the Razor Crest, though. I'm believing in my heart when it comes to the Razor Crest that we'll get another one when we get to the Mando.
Wrecker got messed up.
Yeah, and he did get messed, but he's okay. We think. Yeah.
Yeah,
He got his bell rung. He was definitely in rough shape. So yeah, so this was your very Empire Strikes Back kind of episode. Everything sucks at the end. You know, we don't know how things are going to go down, but thankfully we have 1 week instead of 3 years to find out if everything's gonna be okay. So yeah, awesome episode. You know, a lot of thrills, a lot of like, oh no, that didn't happen kind of moments. But yeah, very exciting stuff.
Mm-hmm. You're thinking hidden tracker. My take on Serenity for Omega was more along like I am one with the Force and the Force is me kind of.
That's how it was for me. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Tiara, what were your thoughts on this episode overall?
Yeah, it reminded me of the episode in season 2 with Gunji when she practices like meditating with them, and then she was showing Crosshair how to do it, and then she was kind of tapping into it when Ventress was like making her focus. So that's how I took it. It just reminded me of the scene with her and Gunji of her meditating and breathing and controlling her breathing.
Yeah.
Like that's I think this could be like that X-Men style, like this is what brings out her powers. Like this could be like the mall in a hallway kind of like, you guys think you got me? No. No. I'm not trapped in a prison with you. You're trapped in a prison.
You're trapped in a prison with me.
Like that's the Omega that I'm seeing in that little Serenity moment.
We got a badass here. Watch out.
So that was my read. So I'm really curious to see where this goes in the next episode.
You bet.
Charlie, there are 4 episodes left.
Yeah.
Where do you think it's going and where do you want it to go if those are 2 separate answers?
You know, as I've said with 4 episodes, I feel like we'll get 2 where it will be, you got to go do this thing to find this other clue. And which is very common of Star Wars TV. It's their ongoing trope, which I don't think is terrible. It is what it is. And that's okay. So I think we'll get 2 episodes of, you know, fact finding, and then we'll get a 2-part final showdown with all the death and destruction, and not everybody's going to make it out alive. We're going to lose somebody. If not, hopefully not everybody. Omega will survive, and Batcher will survive because nobody kills off the cool dog. That would be a bad optics on that one. But I think it's a good chance we will lose 1 or more of the Batchers, and Hunter is unfortunately the one that I feel like we're going to lose just because he's the boss. He's the dad. Yeah. And that's going to be a bummer, but it's really going to resonate. But do I see it turning into the ongoing adventures of? Absolutely. So I think I think the show, and again, I don't know numbers, I don't know metrics, but I feel the show has been popular enough because again, it came back and it had a great story to tell. But we're just 3 years into the reign of the rebellion or of the Empire, and the rebellion is very nascent, you know, and the rebellion starts with the clones. And so another 2 or 3 seasons of the Clone Rebellion or whatever it is, let's party. But it's going to be about Wolf and Rex and Gregor, like you were saying. Absolutely. So cool. That's my vibe. That's my vibe. And I think that we're gonna spin into something else. So that's all right. Spin on.
Same kind of question. 4 episodes left. Where do you think it's going? Where do you want it to go? Do those 2 line up?
I refuse. I don't care what anyone else says. I feel like that gray trooper is Echo. It has to be in my heart.
Absolutely.
The way he was navigating and overriding systems, the way that he was talking. Also, I have this theory that in a couple episodes ago when him and Crosshair were going at it, everyone in the crew got their resolution with Crosshair, got their anger out, and now they're all cool beans. However, Echo did not, and he was very adamant on fighting Crosshair and then beating him to a pulp and then saying something about orders. And in my heart and in my mind and my soul, he is Echo, and we are going to see him whether or not he lives or not. I feel like he's coming back.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That's absolutely what has been strung along. But you make the point that that's the real rub. That's the juice gets to squeeze with that one because that's what's underneath. So sweet. All right, Marky Mark, what do you got?
I think they've let that go too long now to for it not to be Echo. Because I really thought at first they were like hinting that it was, but then they were going to just kind of be like, it's just a random person. It's like, it's Freckles, the clone that they used to have lunch with.
Well, it's like remember in Ahsoka with Merrick, you're like, he's so and so, and then he's a bag of farts when they cut him apart.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. He's actually going to be in Tales of the Empire. We're going to see him.
It's so and so, but no, he's a fart. He's like the guy. It's like 1,000 rats in a trench coat. Exactly. Nobody cares.
Yeah. So but now that they've really dragged this out with CX2, so any other where do you have any other thoughts of where you want it to go? Do you want that to be the case? I
really liked how we were talking about the clones building the rebellion. I want everyone to make it out, of course, but I feel like it will tie into the other series that we see and allow us to have more opportunities for other characters to come into the storyline and to explore. So I don't think that this might be everyone's death. Maybe it will, but I think it will leave room for good opportunity after.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I've been saying that since season 2, Charlie. I'd like to go back and listen to what I was saying last year about this, and because that's kind of how I'm feeling. I still feel like we might have a clone and Omega left at the end of this, and they might show up in the Rex show or this other show here and there. I still want Omega to meet Boba Fett. Later on, Book of Boba Fett 2, Mando, something. Let's do that.
Right.
Tamara Morrison in a blonde wig, I just think would be delightful.
Sure. Or they could find an actual woman to do it. I don't know, but whatever.
Whatever.
Ending.
They could get
so that's what I want.
They get Margot Robbie. No, they could get somebody like Naomi Watts. Would be a great choice because again, she's an Australian and she's blonde and she's about the right age.
I was just gonna say, as long as aged appropriately to him, I think that'd be really cool. Anyway, so I really think that's kind of where we're going to end off. And I said my idea, my hope for a spinoff. I think that kind of makes sense for what they've been establishing and what they've been hinting at this season. So we'll see where it goes. But we have a new episode dropping as people are listening to this. A new episode is already up. So
get engaged and go over to our spoiler thread on our Discord and tell us what you're thinking. Love to have more conversation. We could talk about that on the show as well. But with that, we're wrapping stuff up. So to our esteemed guest, tell people where they can find you out there, please.
Sure. Yeah. I have kind of bled into all pinpoints of social media. I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok, and I am on Instagram. Instagram is mostly where I post all my stuff, and I have a link tree on there, so it also has all the links to all my stuff. So cool. Crafting On Ilum on Instagram, that's where you'll find me.
I will dig in. Gotcha. Mark, where do they find you out there?
Well, first off, thank you so much for joining
by all
us.
means.
This was fantastic. Absolutely have to get you back and your thoughts on any other random bits. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on Tales of the Empire. So we might have to get you back really, really soon.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Your kind of Sithy tendency thoughts on some of that show for sure.
Sithy with you,
yeah. So thank you so much. But you can find me mostly hanging out on Instagram or in our Discord as Canardian Jedi. But I'm also on TikTok under the same name, and sometimes on Threads, even though I just kind of scroll through Threads and don't really post much on there. But I'm always creeping around places, just maybe not posting as much as I do.
Creep in, not creepy. And I'm very similar when it comes to Instagram and Threads. Todd, our partner, is much more better about Threads, but I am C3 Carpenter. Spell it out. I spend a lot of time on our Discord, our Secret Friends Unite Discord. But the other big chunk of my fandom life is my lovely wife April and I do head up the USS Grand Petoskey. We're one of the biggest chapters of the International Star Trek Fan Club in the world. We are based here in Western Michigan. And we have several chapters here in Michigan, but I'm also privileged to run Region 13, which is Michigan and Eastern Canada. And we're always looking on the grow. If you visit sfi.org, you can search your area, find a local chapter, or you can just send me a note. If you go to grandpetoskey.com and pop over an email, I can help you find trekkers where you live. We have a good time doing it. All right. Well, with that, friends, as always, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
May the force be with you. Rex, play us out.